how do you deal when things don't go exactly the way that you want them to go? Well, this is the thing is, Disneyland seems to be, or called, the happiest place on earth. I think the happiest place on earth is right here in the studio, spending time with every single one of you. And I want to thank you guys all. And I sat yesterday and I sat in my quiet time after, like, the first thing that I did, I was a little bit foggy when I woke up. So I did what a lot of people will tell me to do, is get out, get your body moving. And I got my body moving, not because I wanted to, but because I had Ziggy and Skylar, and it was my day to be able to take them on the walk. So I took them on the walk. My body starts moving. We walk around the neighborhood, and I start to look and say that I should be thankful for the amazing things, because I look at the neighborhood, I look at the neighbors, my dogs are awesome. They're, going back and forth and wrapping up the leashes and things like that. But I'm grateful in those times. I get back and, I start moving my body a little bit more. And it kind of sparks my mind. I start thinking a little bit, and then I sit down, I start reading, and I start doing that. And then it was just like, it set my heart on fire. And I was asking myself, like, because I've told you guys before, and I've said this in the past, that you have to start with your heart, and then you build your mind, and then you build your skills afterwards. And I asked myself yesterday, well, can I start with my skill to spark my mind? And then that, lights my heart on fire? The answer is yes. Can I start with my mind, and make, force my body into motion? And then that, turn my heart, or open my heart to new things? Yes. And what it came down to was God was just saying to me yesterday, as long as it's aligned, son, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for your heart, your body, or your heart, your mind, and your body to be in line. I'm looking for your heart, your mind, and your skills. When you align them, that's what I refer to, or what God refers to, as obedience. When he was speaking to me, and it was like, it made it so simple. And so as we look at Proverbs 30, it gives us the invaluable insight into how we can build our heart, develop our mind, and add action through our skills. And so it's amazing, because every single time I have a question, I take it to the Word, I filter it with the Word, and it's incredible how God is able to work. So Proverbs 30 today is going to be amazing for you. So why don't we just get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
I was talking to my brother yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, we got a chance to be able to talk, or maybe it was yesterday. My brother Brad, and we were talking about that the green grows in the valley, and that not to shrink your thinking in the valley. If you didn't get a chance to be able to listen to that episode, go back. I believe it's episode 567. So I appreciate that. And welcome to another episode of Inchstones. We go through the corresponding proverb, corresponding day, and I read these on those days, but sometimes you'll listen to them on a different day. We're going through Proverbs 30 today, and this one is really strong. I've told you in the past that, like, when you go through Proverbs and you read Proverbs, which that's where we go to, and I'm lifting that up for all of my people that are on YouTube or on Spotify. You can see it. If you're on Apple, I want to thank you guys so much, and you're just listening, so I was showing the word. But going through, the corresponding proverb, corresponding day, it's been a really, really amazing journey. So we're working with Proverbs 30, and think of it this way. They're broken into three, right? So Proverbs 1 through 10 is all about the features, benefits, being real nice and inviting, and sending you the great Christmas card saying, please come over for dinner. In the middle, it starts to talk about all the things that'll happen if you don't choose the wisdom that you just learned in the first 10. So that's 11 through 20. 20. And then from 20 on, it is hard hitting. It is like, hey, bonehead, don't choose that. This is what's going to happen. And it shows you strong in that. And so we finish in Proverbs 30 before, and then Proverbs 31, the last one, is what a godly woman is. And, what it kind of helps us as men to do is, if you read Proverbs 1 through 30 and you adhere to all of those things, you'll be able to sustain a Proverbs 31 woman when she comes into your life. And that Proverbs 31 woman isn't just about a woman, but it's about opportunity. It's about blessing. It's about the things that God will bring into your life that are so incredible. But the way to sustain them is listen to 1 through 30. So, I love this study. It's been incredible for me. And so let's jump in. Oh, I want to give a shout out too. I was on my dog walk this morning, and the pillow that's right behind me, if you're watching, you can see it. It's an Oilers helmet. One of my neighbors, I was walking through, and he asked me, he said, how's the vibe? Like, how's the vibe today? And I said, oh, it's incredible. And it took me off guard for a second, because sometimes you do your work or we have the podcast, and I don't know every single one of you who has listened, but I appreciate you. But there's people who are listening that you don't even know. And he's like, he ran into his house. He said, hey, I got something for you. And he runs in and he brings out this pillow. And that was made by his grandmother years ago when they lived in Houston, all Houston Oilers fans. And he's like, I don't use it anymore, and I'd like you to have it. And you could put it up in your podcast room. So I wanted to say thank you. You made my day absolutely 100% this morning. So let's dive right into Proverbs 30. This one is about building your heart to develop your mind and add action through our skills. Right? So when we align those things, when we align our heart, our mind, and our skills, it creates an irresistible vibe, or the way that people feel when we leave, right? Because the vibe is not the energy you bring into the room, although I thought it used to be. That's the way I used to think about it. It is the way in which people feel when you leave. And if you want people to feel amazing around you, when you align in any area, and this goes for not just your business, not just your relationships, but every aspect of life. When there's alignment in things tend to work out better. Think about your car. When it's aligned, it drives better. When your business is aligned, it works better. When your business and your marketing, when you're marketing and your PR, when you're marketing your PR and your sales, when they're aligned, things have the tendency to happen. And what God is saying is that all those things stem from the fact that I want to have your heart. I want you to fill it up with wisdom. And then I want that wisdom to, anytime there's knowledge that comes into your head, right, into your mind, I want you to filter it with that wisdom, because I want those aligned. And then I just want you to act in line with your heart and your mind that have been built from that wisdom. And where can we get the wisdom is right from spending time with God. So it's incredible how that happens. So in verse 1, anything is possible when you fill your heart with wisdom. Wisdom, 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 wisdom. And I say it to my dying day, wisdom is the right use of knowledge. There's no reason to have knowledge unless you have wisdom, because you won't know what to do with it. I've had this happen so often. In verse 2 through 4 is knowing your strengths and weaknesses will prove to be invaluable. This is something that we learn in a course that we go to in personal development, all these places. But it's amazing that it was written 3,000 years ago, and God was just saying like, hey, I just want to let you know, if you understand your strengths, if you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, it will prove to be invaluable. And when you know your strengths, which is obedience, right? Your obedience, meaning that you're aligned in your heart, your body, or your heart, your mind, and your skills, or your body. When those things happen, and they're aligned with my will, right? With God's will, it's unbelievable what can happen. And then we realize that our weakness is working with anything or carrying anything outside of what we were designed to carry, which is just to be ourselves, right? So in verse 5 and 6, knowing the credibility of your sources is imperative to sustainable growth. And this is massive, especially in today's society, because there's so many sources that we could go to. And whether it be social media or whatever, back in my day, it used to be, you know what I heard? And someone would just say some nonsense. And we'd be like, man, I can't even believe it. Now it's fact checked. But also there's things out there on the internet that are not true. This is a surprise to me. But we look at social media and we're like, oh man, that must be true. Well, we've got to look at the credibility of those sources if we want to have sustainable growth. If you just want to have like flash in the pan kind of growth, don't worry about any of this. You don't even have to listen to the podcast. But what we want to do is we want to fill you up with things that will last for a lifetime. In verse 7 through 9 and 21 through 23, when you're lacking or in excess, how do you react? And this was a big one for me as I looked at it. When you're lacking, when I'm lacking, where does my mind go to, right? Am I willing to sacrifice some of the things that I believe in? When I'm in excess, do I have the tendency to be like, yo, I got this? Well, I would ask ourselves that question always as much as we possibly can when we're lacking and when we're in excess, how do we react? And then ask ourselves, have we filled ourselves up with enough wisdom and put ourselves in a place where we're going to make sure that when we are lacking or we're in excess, that we keep in alignment with exactly who God designed us to be. And in those verses, it actually asked specifically, Solomon asked when he was writing this, he said, don't give me too much and don't give me too little, right? He asked for just enough. Now, some of you, like myself, I'm going to ask for more because that's what I want. But the challenge is when I'm in excess, I need to know how I'm going to react before I get there. In verse 11 through 14, build others up through your speech. It's probably one of the most important things that you could do. My pops taught me this. There's only one business in the world and one business only, and that's the people business. And when you build the people, then you allow them to build the business. I tell you, it's curtains. I mean, it's lights out. It's amazing what you can do when that happens. So build others up through your speech. Talk about them. Celebrate people. Don't patronize people, but celebrate them authentically as much as humanly possible. In verse 15 and 16, how can you contribute? Think about this. Every single person that you come in contact with, just ask yourself, how can I contribute to them? I just got contributed to today with my new Oilers pillow that's in the background, and you guys can see it. My hand is it's almost like it's holding it right now. But it makes me so happy. This was so incredible, and it is a pillow from probably 1970 or somewhere around in there, but it brings me so much joy. And the biggest part was the thought that counted. Number one, that the person listened to the podcast. Number two, that they were an Oilers fan. But number three, that they were willing to give me something that they thought would be valuable to me. And it is, and it means so much. So make sure that you contribute and figure out ways to contribute at all times. In verse 17, respect will give you an unfair advantage. When you respect people's time, when you respect who they are, when you respect their journey. You see, what I used to do when I was hiring young kids, and I say young kids, they were anywhere from 19 to 24, I literally would jump right from the get-go what they can accomplish. And I would be like, yo, you could do this, you could do that, and sometimes frustrate me because I think, man, why don't they want this thing? This is so much greater. This is going to impact their life in such an amazing way. But I didn't take time to know where they were from. I didn't take time to know where they were at the moment. So that didn't give me the freedom to show them where they could go. And I tell you, in an organization, if you'll stop and you'll ask your people, where are you from? Where are you at right now? Then they will give you permission to take them where they need to go or give them the opportunity to be able to go there. But if not, you'll get frustrated a lot, like myself, and I've done that in the past, and I want to stop it. So it doesn't mean that I won't do it again. I probably will. Verse 18 through 20. What has the ability to distract you? Once you identify these things, like identifying it and becoming aware of something and then acknowledges it, when we acknowledge it, it gives us the opportunity to aspire to something new. Let me say it again. We got to become aware of it first, but awareness is not acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is saying like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's true. And then we can aspire. Most of us jump to aspiration before we have acknowledged what is right now and before we've become aware of the things that can distract us. Once we become aware of that, we acknowledge what can distract us. Now we can be aware of that point. We can avoid it, and we can aspire to do amazing things without this thing jumping in and distracting us. So in verse 24 through 28 is slow and steady, work hard, soft talk, build people. Guys, 3,000-year-old wisdom. It's amazing what Proverbs will be able to bring to you. In Proverbs 30, it talks about this. This was 3,000 years ago, but it's applicable today because slow and steady wins the race, right? Hard work and soft talk, and then build people. How do we build people? We speak life into them. We encourage them. We ask them questions. And when we lift them up, guess what they do? We build the people, let the people build the business. That's what Pops taught me. In verse 29 through 33, as we finish up, is knowing whose you are will solidify who you are. I think we get this twisted a lot of times. We say, I need to figure out who I am. And then we go to hopefully at some point, and a lot of us don't, is we go to the point of whose we are. Who do you belong to? If we know who we belong to, right? If we know who we belong to, we find our identity in that. What God is saying is like, you belong to me. Like, I built you. I grew you. I gave you the gifts. And what I want you to do is go and utilize those gifts. And I want you to bless the world with those gifts. And then what's going to happen is there's going to be incredible blessing. And when there's incredible blessing that way, then you'll direct all eyes to him as opposed to on you. And that's why he will keep pouring it on. He said to me, in 1997, he said, you keep pouring it out, I'll keep pouring it on. But the moment you stop pouring it out, I will stop pouring it on. And it goes that way. It's a principle based. You think about generosity. When you're generous with people, my brother was generous this last weekend. My big brother, Rob, thank you so much for getting all the families together and going to Disneyland. And it was just amazing. But I could tell you this, generosity will expand your kingdom. And I want to encourage you in that. You see, when we align, like alignment in value, or alignment creates value, efficiency, strength, sustainability, and patience. And imagine if you had those things, value, efficiency, strength, sustainability, and patience. And you were able to be patient, that you knew that what you have set out to do is actually going to happen. God simply wants you to fill your heart with wisdom and align your mind and your skills. It's that simple. But when we fill our heart with wisdom, how can we do that? By just spending time with him. And wisdom is the right use of knowledge. Then he'll bring knowledge in, right? And so that knowledge will fill our head, and then our body will start to move towards what we think about, but that stemmed from our heart. So fill your heart and protect it at all costs. That's what my mama used to say. I want to thank you all for being on the show today. It has been another episode of Inchstones. It's Proverbs 30. I encourage you to read it. Check that out. Make sure you subscribe, you comment, you share it with a friend. Somebody needs to hear this today. I thank you so much. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. That's peace, love, and soul.
On my mind, I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue